Alright, man. Vol State. Tips, tricks, and stories on how to get through that. Before I even get started, I do want to say what works for me may not work for you. What works for somebody else may not work for you either, but it's just to give you some ideas and some things to think about for Fall State. So we'll go from there. All right. I think for me, the first thing I thought about on Ball State and how I decided I was going to get through it was what I was going to do for sleep, how I was going to sleep, and where I was going to sleep, and whatnot. For me, it was just go until I was so tired that all I would do is just put my head down and I would fall asleep. And that's what worked for me. I think day 1.25, I think I'd been moving 32 hours or so. At Parker's Crossroads, me and the guy I was running with at that time got a hotel, ate our food, took a quick shower, and laid down. Got 3.5 hours of sleep. Got back up. I think we laid down about 1:30, somewhere in that neighborhood. I do know that we were back up and moving around 5:30 in the afternoon. So it was one of the most refreshing sleeps I've ever had. And then I slept again maybe 28 hours later in Hohenwald. And that would have been day 2.5 check-in. And then I slept again in Shelbyville at the Magnolia. Which, if you've not heard of the Magnolia, it is probably the worst hotel motel on the course. It is a dive, but it's right on the course. It had air conditioning, it had a shower, and the sheets were clean when I went in there. I know some other people didn't have clean sheets, but my sheets were clean. And honestly, if they wouldn't have been super clean, I probably wouldn't have cared, because I literally put my head on the pillow after taking a shower and fell asleep. So, and I didn't sleep again the rest of the way. I think I was pretty close to 36 hours, not quite. I think I'd been going maybe 33 hours when I finished with no sleep, other than a cat nap here and there. I know I took 10 minutes, 15 minutes here, and 10 and 30 minutes there, but wasn't never a time where I took more than 30 minutes out on the road or behind the church or wherever. But I know that some people, they try to flip their days and nights, and they'll run into Martin, which is at mile 30, get a hotel, and stay there until it's dark, or maybe even after dark, before they get moving again. So they can flip their days and nights. Some people just sleep wherever they can. They don't even get a hotel. To be honest, I probably would have done the same. It just happened to work out that I got a hotel when I needed sleep. So it worked out for me. If I ever do it again, which is not out of the realm of possibility, I would probably just play it by ear. So next thing is wrapping your head around that course. It is a lot. For me, I'm not a detailed planning kind of person when that comes to that kind of stuff. I did have a detailed plan for the first 2 stops, which was Hickman Convenience Store as you leave town, mile 4. And then I was going to stop at Union City and get some food there. After that, I look at my phone at the next place I was going, and can I get stuff there to eat, drink, and go from there. You have to remember, if you're traveling at night, and a lot of those towns, the carpet rolls up at 8 and 9 o'clock at night, and there's nothing open. So it's when you want to go because it's cool, but not everything's open for you to get stuff. So yeah, so you just, but I know other people have very detailed plans. They oh, I'm going to be in X place at X time. That may work for you in most races, but this one, I don't know if that would work. If you can't be adaptable, you're going to have problems. Just because the weather, the heat, humidity, how you feel, your pace is widely going to vary. I mean, you may plan on doing 15-minute miles, but it doesn't always work that way. You might, I mean, I average 16 some moving pace, but there were plenty of times when I was moving at 18, 19-minute pace because I didn't feel good. There were other times when I was moving sub 15 because I felt good. So it's going to be really hard to do that. So if you do one of the, or you are one of those detail orientated people and need to have this plan, you need to be able to adapt that plan as you go. You may be planning out farther than me. I mean, mine was very straightforward, but that's how I did it. I know there's a multitude of different ways to do it, but that's definitely how I did it. Didn't worry about it until I got to the next place, wherever that was, and just move forward from there. So I think probably the next important thing in Vol State, after sleeping and how you wrap your head around that course, is foot care. It's a big deal at Vol State. Lots of people who have never gotten a blister, and I mean never gotten a blister, have blisters at Vol State. You are hot, you are wet, no matter how hot it is, because the humidity is 60-70%, heat index of 100 plus, dew points in the 70s. It can be, even if it's dry, you're wet because of that. And that doesn't even include if you get rained on or anything like that. So you have to take care of your feet, whatever works for you. A lot of people take KT tape or other kinds of tape and tape their feet where they have blisters. They're prone to get blisters, and do that. There's also several books and things on how to care for your feet once you get a blister, that are definitely worth getting, especially if you're prone to blisters at all. For me, I wore 2 pair of socks. I wore Najinji sock liners, which are extremely thin, and then the thinnest pair of Najinji socks that they make over that. And then in theory, those 2 layers are supposed to rub together, and so you not have the sock and your skin rubbing together. It is also supposed to take the water moisture from your skin, wick it to the first layer of sock, which wicks it to the second layer of sock, which wicks it out to your shoe. And then I coated my feet all the time in Desitin. I literally used the entire tube of Desitin during my 5 days and 18 hours. Literally every 6 hours, I took my shoes off, took my socks off, and coated my feet in Desitin without fail. If it rained, I did it more often. I would do it every 3 to 4 hours if my feet were wet, and it worked well. To give you an instance, about 9 o'clock on the first night, we got poured on. I mean, we got poured on. And it didn't stop raining till 11 o'clock or so. Next morning at check-in, I put Desitin on my feet, and I had just a few of those wrinkles you get with wet feet on the bottom of my feet. The guy I was running with, his feet were wrinkled up badly, so it worked for me. By the time we got to the hotel in Parker's Crossroads on that next day, my feet were totally dry. My sock, that first layer of sock was totally dry with the humidity, but it was totally dry, and I had no wrinkles on my feet. you couldn't tell that they'd been wet. So it worked for me. That said, you have to test everything you do at Vol State, so you definitely need to test that stuff and make sure it works for you. I know everybody says size up and shoe. For me, I kind of naturally do anyway, because I normally wear a size 12, but in the shoes I wore, which were Ultras, my toe at a size 12 barely touches the end, and it will create a blister there if I do, or it's just annoying as I'll get out. So I go to a size 12 and a half, so I'm naturally a half size bigger. I did not get a single blister at Vol State, whether that was luck or me taking care of it or a combination of things. I don't know, but it worked for me. So I would highly recommend it. It seems to work well. So, all right, Vol State food. As you can see, I have it in my mouth because it's break time before I go do some work. After those things, I think next thing you need to consider is food. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to eat it? How you're going to eat it. If you've not done one of these long races before, I think you're going to find that what you normally carry isn't going to work for you. You're definitely not going to carry gels. Not going to happen. You might carry one, but definitely not going to happen. You want to carry some real food. I started with an RX bar, maybe a couple of fun-sized paydays, and maybe a couple of Slim Jims that were in my pack. I found that the paydays eventually quit working. There just was not enough nutrition or whatever, calories, and I would eat it and 30 minutes later be hungry. I found that I actually found the best thing for me when stuffing my pack for those things was some sort of trail mix. The nuts, the fruit, the ones maybe have M&Ms in them worked really well, and would hold me over for a while. I also found that more of the real food was important. The more real food I had, the better I went. The more snack food I had, the less I went. It just didn't last. Not that I didn't eat it when it was available, and that's what I had, but didn't have it. For instance, day one at Union City, I had Subway. I didn't eat a real meal again until the next morning, right before check-in. We ate breakfast in Huntingdon. Before we went in the hotel, I ate Wendy's. Wanted Subway, but there was a great big church van that unloaded, and there was like 20 people in Subway, and I wasn't waiting. So I went next door and had Wendy's, I think. Maybe it was Dairy Queen, but I thought it was Wendy's. Next night, about 9 o'clock after sleeping, we were in Lexington. We ate what I call the Brown Food Group, which is convenience store food. Now, if you don't know what the Brown Food Group is, it's potato dogs, because you can find those everywhere, mozzarella sticks, hush puppies. God, I had the world's worst hush puppies there. French fries, and some sort of fried fish. Literally every convenience store has that stuff, and it's all brown, so it's the Brown Food Group. It'll get you through though. Later that night, about midnight, I had some pizza at a church before Parsons. I didn't have any real food again until Hohenwald, where I got a pizza before I went in a hotel. And then the next time I had real food was after I woke up in the hotel. I had McDonald's on the way out of Hohenwald, and I didn't have real food again until more Brown Food Group. Leaving Columbia, I had some. Had a little bit of real food at the Nut House, And then next real food was Nut House was like 8 o'clock. The next real food was about 8 or 9 the next morning at the wheel. Kind of stuffed myself there at the pit stop. And then I was buying those prepackaged sandwiches you get at convenience stores. They're like in this triangle. I would buy those, and that was what I was eating at the convenience stores, for the most part. And then the last real stop I had was Waffle House in Manchester before I headed down towards Mount Eagle. I didn't stop in Mount Eagle. I stopped at a convenience store there and got some brown food group. And I think I had a little brown food group before I headed up to the Rock, went through New Hope. So yeah, you need to kind of decide what's going to work for you, and then be adjustable, because it may quit working. Because I would do all my training on paydays and RX bars, and they weren't cutting it anymore. I needed other stuff. Real food really worked well for me. I get the calories I needed to keep going. To give you an idea, according to my handy dandy watch, I burned 42,000 calories in those 5 days and 18 hours. There's no way I took 42,000 calories in. So I'm gonna finish up here with a few stories that happened to me out in Vol State. Some of them are just hilarious and probably have not much in the way of helpfulness to them. Some of them actually do have some helpfulness to them. But before I go into that, I got a few people I need to thank, because without their help, I would have had a much harder time getting through it. Karen Jackson and Bo Millwood, without their help, I would have had a much harder time getting through that. And I ran into them all the way from the river bottoms, all the way. I think last time I saw them was right before Shelbyville. They were never very far away. We would leapfrog each other several times during the course of that race. So, without their help, it would have been a lot harder for me to get through. The other person I need to thank is Stephen Smith, who I ran into coming out of Martin on day one, and we ran together for probably 28 hours or so. And I got a hotel with him on the first at Parker's Crossroads. Without his expertise, I would have had a much harder time too. And only reason we separated is he wasn't feeling good, and he thought he needed some sleep. So at a school on the way from Lexington to the river bottoms, he stopped and slept, and I kept moving. Somewhere along the way, he went ahead and went crude and passed me. I don't even know where he passed me. I would assume Hohenwald, but I have no idea. But he passed me and finished in front of me, so good on him for keep going. I'm sure I know when he quit, he wasn't feeling good. So this goes to show you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it. All right, stories. Day one, I'm just going to kind of lump it together. There's so many things happened in day one. It was not funny. There's so many things that stick out in day one, but I think one of the interesting things early in day one, I'm at Subway eating with a guy named Bill, who had been in the Army. We were eating together at Subway. A guy rolled in who I knew, and first thing he did was to yank his shoes off and put his sandals on and start treating his blisters. We're at mile 19, and he's treating blisters. Oh man, it's a long way to go. And his feet, when he finished, looked like hell, but he finished. So I don't know. I'm sure it was painful and excruciating most of the way, but somewhere along the way, he just put it out of his brain and finished. It's just a long way to go from there to have blisters. After the Stinky Bridge, which if you don't know what the Stinky Bridge is, there's an animal rendering plant about a mile off the road, and the Stinky Bridge is that. It smells atrocious. But after Stinky Bridge, there's a place that I call the Armory. I think it's called something else, but it's an aid station, Angel Stop, and they got water out front and these great big industrial fans turning. There was a guy, kid you not, laying on the bench in front of that fan, and his face was just beet red, and he's just there, and man, you can tell he's just miserable. He's so hot, and he's burning up. And the first day the morning hadn't been too bad. It had been overcast, and probably it might have gotten to low 80s during the morning. But somewhere in Union City, the clouds went away, the sun popped out, and it got nasty hot, and like it's supposed to in Tennessee in July. And yeah, he got overheated big time. He would have told me he was going to finish, I would have said no way, but he did. So just goes to show you can recover from a lot. You just got to figure it out and keep moving forward. So unbelievable that he finished, but yeah, he did. And then the last thing on day one, after I met Steven, we rolled through Dresden, stopped at the farmer's market on the way out of town there, which is at Road Angel Stop. Got some food, took a few minutes, fixed our feet, got our feet off our feet for a little bit, and then we left. Just about dusk, a little rainstorm came up. Wasn't much anything. I mean, it might have rained kind of hard for a minute. Not enough I even thought about getting my poncho out. So I wasn't worried about it. It got dark, and when it did, you could hear the rain coming. And I thought, it's just going to be another one just like the last one. I was wrong. It went from light rain to just a deluge in no time. I didn't even have enough time to get my poncho out of the pack. And it did not stop. And lightning started coming down. Never came really close to us, but it was coming down close, like a couple miles away, close. And the water was rolling down the road. We were walking in the middle of the road rather than the side, because the water was so deep on the side, it was over my shoe. It was that deep. It started to abate as we got into Gleason. Ran into a couple people that were trying to figure out the path because it was so dark. You couldn't see anything. We were maybe 3 blocks from the fire station in Gleason, which is a pretty infamous Road Angel Stop. You could hear a tree fall, and it took out the power to everything in town. Power came on right when we left, right as we were leaving, but we had to leave because we were wet and we were getting cold. But yeah, that first day was eventful, to say the least. So next story is Hohenwald. I was in the hotel, and I was supposed to get up at midnight and go. About midnight, 12:30. I woke up then. I pulled up the radar to see what was going, and they said 3 o'clock. Great big line, just red coming through. That section from Hohenwald to Hampshire into Columbia is pretty desolate, especially from Hohenwald to Columbia. It is just 4-lane highway, rock faces against it, and almost no houses. I was like, I don't want to be caught out there, because 2 hours out, we're going to be 8-9 miles up the road. I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere, so I don't want to be caught out in it. So I made my mind that I was staying in a hotel until that hit, so I went back to sleep. And then I woke up when it was supposed to hit, and it was maybe 20 minutes late. It hit and just blew and blew, and you could hear it. And I was really glad I wasn't out in it, regardless of just how much slower it made me. Whatever, I wasn't in that storm. But when it abated, it was about 4:30. I was like, I need 10 minutes to get to McDonald's, which opens at 5. I hung around the hotel for another 20 minutes and got to McDonald's like 2 minutes after it opened. Got some McDonald's and ate it on the run. But yeah, it was everybody I talked to that got caught in that section too they were like, it was just miserable. So yeah, it cost me a few hours of time, but I was drier. I did get rained on that morning, but it wasn't like that kind of rain where it was just blowing sideways and just nasty. I think I got maybe an hour in dry before it started raining again. And then I ran all the way through up to Hampshire in the rain before it stopped. And then the section from Hampshire into Columbia, I dried out from there. So the next one, which is not going to help anybody, it's just funny though. I'm going through Columbia downtown. So if you don't know the course, or you do know the course, every town you go through, the course goes by the courthouse. That is just how Laz did it and set it up. So you go by every courthouse. So I'm going through downtown Columbia by the courthouse. Guy comes over to me as I'm going through. He says, "Hey man, hey." Stops me and I go, yeah, what's up? Gives me this long story. I bet it takes 10 minutes for him to go through this story about this went wrong, that went wrong, blah, 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 blah. You know what's coming, right? He gonna ask me for money. I'm in spandex, sweat rolling down my face, shirt wet, sticking to me, pack on my back, and nothing's clean. And he's like, "Can you help a brother out?" I'm like, "I can't even help myself out right now. I'm having a hard enough time doing that, much less helping you." So, just hilarious. I got accosted for money in Columbia. Yeah. So last story, which is hilarious and maybe help you out too, because I wouldn't stop there if I were you, is I had made my mind up in the morning, the fifth morning when I checked in. I had 58 miles, I think, to finish, give or take a little bit. And I'd made my mind up. I was going the whole way. I wasn't going back to sleep. I'd been up at that point maybe 14 hours, and I was like, I'm not sleeping again. It's not worth it. I'm gonna push through. If I gotta take a nap, I gotta take a nap. And I did a couple times. So I go down the hill into Jasper, cruise across on Columbia, just going into Kimball in the morning, and just in the evening, it's getting dusk. I stop at one of the convenience stores there in Kimball, get some food, and just relax for a little bit before I head up. Go across the Blue Bridge and head up over into New Hope, and or as Laz calls it, No Hope, and then on up the rock, up the Sand Mountain to the Rock. So I'm going through there. I probably leave the convenience store 9:30, 10 o'clock. I text Carl that I'm at the Blue Bridge, and he's like, yeah, cool. Head to New Hope. And I get to New Hope, and I'm starting to sleepwalk. I know I need 10 minutes, maybe 15 nap. I just need a few minutes of sleep, and it'll get me through. I can't sleepwalk because I'm gonna walk into traffic. Not that there's a lot of traffic, but I needed it. So I'm past this meat processing plant, and they have a big long bench out there, probably 10 feet long, and it's the really nice ones that have the curve back that rolls into the circle and then rolls up and over like that. So when you lay in it, you're literally laying in the curve. It's perfect. I was like, man, it's like 12:30 at night on a Wednesday night. Nobody's gonna care. So I go over there, take my pack off, put it down as pillows, grab my phone out, set the timer, and fall asleep. Literally as soon as my head hits the pack. I am awakened by lights in my face and a guy yelling at me, "Get up, get up, get up, get up." I don't even know where I went from laying to sitting up. But my first waking moment was looking at this guy yelling at me and me setting up. So I'm sure that I bolted up. He's like, "Get over here, put your hands on the hood." It's the police, not just one, 3 cop cars. in New Hope for me. The guy pats me down. Spandex shorts, Columbia shirt. Yeah. I don't know what I'd be hiding, but yeah. Pats me down. You got an ID, and of course it's in my pack. I'm like, can I get in my pack? Got my hands up. Hey, let's not take chances here, guys. I just want to get my 10 minutes of sleep and move on. So, yeah, 3 cops patted me down in New Hope, Tennessee. So, my advice to you is if you go through New Hope and need a nap, don't sleep at the meat processing plant on the left side of the road, because they have a Ring camera and they call the cops.